Tonight on To The Point.
I'm afraid because I know that my immune system is compromised.
In just hours, thousands of Kaiser workers are expected to strike. It's already affecting local patient care. Congress members oust their leader, California Republican Kevin McCarthy. What's next as we inch closer to a shutdown? And student loan borrowers are making hard choices. What do they cut in order to pay their student loan bills?
Good evening. This is To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. In just hours, 75,000 Kaiser workers are expected to walk off the job if their demands for better working conditions are not met. As our Jeannie Nguyen explains, the threat is already impacting local patient care.
Nita LeClaire is a foodie and has turned her passion for food into a side hustle.
I would go to their house and cook all their meals for the week, and have them all in the fridge for them for the week.
But for the past month, the 82-year-old hasn't been able to cook.
I have anemia, iron deficiency anemia.
And it's taken a toll on her health.
Severe fatigue and compromised immune system and all kinds of stuff.
As a loyal Kaiser patient for the past 10 years, LeClaire tried to make an appointment to have an iron transfusion, but hospital staff told her they were not scheduling any appointments.
The support staff is going on strike, and they are not scheduling any.
SEIU United Healthcare Workers West is threatening to strike for 3 days starting on Wednesday. The union says Kaiser refuses to give them adequate pay and resources as staffing shortages continue to be a problem.
We cannot continue to see our patients suffering with the long waits because of our short staffing, the crisis that we have at Kaiser Permanente.
Leaving patients like LeClaire concerned about the future.
I'm really depressed about it. I'm afraid because I know that my immune system is compromised.
A Kaiser spokesperson says negotiations are still ongoing and that a strike is not inevitable or justified. The hospital will continue to work with the union and understands the frustration and exhaustion employees have been feeling. And while both parties try to come to an agreement, LeClaire is just trying to stay positive.
Be fair and be reasonable. About all I can say.
And Jeannie joins us now. Now, we know that this strike could go on for 3 days, but it could go on much longer than that, too.
Alex, yes, the union tells me that there will be a potential for another strike in November if both parties can't come to an agreement. And Kaiser is telling patients it may need to reschedule non-urgent appointments and procedures as long as it is safe. Kaiser adds it will contact patients impacted by the strike in advance, and there's no need to call or email the doctor's office ahead of time. And of course, we will keep everyone updated on the progress of this.
Yeah, that's right. And this time last year, we were covering, a 10-week strike among thousands of Kaiser mental health care workers. And this potential strike involves a much, much larger group. Jeannie, thank you so much. In other news, a second-grade teacher is under arrest accused of driving under the influence. She was pulled out of her classroom in Sutter County with a blood alcohol level of twice the legal limit. 57-year-old Wendy Munson has been arrested for DUI at least 3 times. The Sutter County Sheriff's Office says this time she could face a child endangerment charge. Tonight, Rio Vista city leaders are expected to vote on a plan that could give a law firm that they work with permission to also work with Flannery Associates. And remember, that is the company that wants to build a new city near Rio Vista called California Forever. They were once a mysterious company buying land all over the Solano County area. And tonight, neighbors are asking what the city has to gain from this and worry that if this is okayed, it could cloud the city's transparency. So we are at tonight's vote, and we'll bring you the latest coming up on Late News Tonight at 11. And there were a lot of big moments today on Capitol Hill. The day began with the swearing in of California's newest senator, LaFonza Butler. So she was appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom over the weekend following Senator Dianne Feinstein's death. Vice President Kamala Harris did the swearing in today, and Butler is a former union leader, president of Emily's List, and considered a Democratic insider. She had to be re-registered in California in order to qualify to become the state's next senator. Governor Newsom defended the decision in a news conference last night.
But she has deep governmental experience, meaning she understands how systems work. She has deep understanding of the legislative process, deep understanding of the executive process, deep national experience, not just state and local experience.
Like Feinstein, Butler is a woman of many firsts and is now the first Black female senator and open LGBTQ+ senator from California. The election for Feinstein's seat will happen next year. And tomorrow, Dianne Feinstein will lie in state in the rotunda at San Francisco City Hall. Then on Thursday, a public memorial service will be held. It will start at 1 in the afternoon, and it is open to the public. ABC 10 will also be there to bring you coverage throughout the day. And tonight, California Republican Congressman Kevin McCarthy says he will not run again for Speaker of the House. He was ousted today, becoming the first speaker ever ousted from the job.
In a historic vote, the House ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy from his speakership role.
The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Florida Representative Matt Gaetz spearheaded this, triggering the process that led McCarthy being voted out.
Chaos is Speaker McCarthy. Chaos is somebody who we cannot trust with their word.
The House is narrowly divided, and McCarthy could only afford to lose 4 Republicans. Before the vote, Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries sent a letter to his members informing them he and other leaders would vote to oust the California congressman.
We encourage our Republican colleagues who claim to be more traditional to break from the extremists. In the chaos, in the dysfunction, in the extremism.
As the process played out, McCarthy first brought up a motion to table Gaetz's resolution, but it failed. The next vote, McCarthy was ousted. A new acting speaker will take the gavel for a short term. He was chosen from a list McCarthy submitted to the House clerk in January. When the House is prepared to move forward, a new speaker election will take place. This all comes after McCarthy worked with Democrats to pass a spending bill to keep the government open until mid-November.
At the end of the day, if you throw a speaker out that has 99% of their conference, I think we're in a really bad place for how we're going to run Congress.
And tonight, some people on Capitol Hill are saying that this process is time-consuming and not good for anyone, as Congress is just a month and a half away from another potential government shutdown. The funding bill passed over the weekend funds the government until November 17th. And among many issues in the shutdown debate is federal wildland firefighter pay. According to local Congressman Josh Harder's office, up to 50% of wildland firefighters are expected to resign if temporary pay increases and certain benefits are not extended. Firefighters are set to lose around $20,000 or 50% of base pay. The original deadline for these pay increases was September 30th, but we were extended to November 17th with the passage of that temporary spending bill. And new tonight, a judge put former President Donald Trump under a gag order after he attacked a clerk on social media. This is all part of the ongoing civil fraud trial in New York. The state's attorney general is accusing Trump and his eldest sons of inflating the net worth of Trump's organization's assets by as much as $2.2 billion. Today, witnesses took the stand and Trump once again in court to listen in. He continues to say that he has done nothing wrong and wants the case dismissed. Next, on To the Point, too soon for driverless taxis. The new crash raising concerns.
And we're continuing to track our warming conditions, as you can see, out of the 60s into the 80s, peaking with those high temperatures by the weekend.
Student loan payments resume, forcing borrowers to make some really tough decisions. And later in the show, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month and the evolution of Latin dance.
It's an interesting thing when you go to a Latin nightclub. The whole premise is not to pick up people. It's about dancing.
Remember all that flooding earlier this year? Our storms caused the Cosumnes River to overflow, and this farm in Wilton was underwater. But the good news is that it is now back open for pumpkin picking, hay rides, and a chance to pet some farm animals. And Monica, many of these animals had to be rescued from the floodwaters.
Oh, yeah. The owner actually saying that some of his kids were at home from college and kind of helped get those animals to safety.
Yeah.
So all hands on deck when it's a situation like that, right?
Absolutely.
And now it's all little hands with the school visits going to pet those animals.
So
we
cute.
love that. It is going to be a little bit warm, not necessarily feeling like fall so much in the coming days. You can see those temperatures today warming back into the mid to upper 80s in some locations in the valley, 70 70s for the foothills and right about 65 degrees for the Tahoe Basin. Tonight, beautiful conditions. Temperatures holding in the 70s all the way through 10 p.m. Now, part of the reason that's the case is because we're going to pick up north winds. Those are dry and generally warming winds. It's going to be a fairly mild evening. You can see those winds particularly strong over towards the west side of the valley and through the foothills, where we'll see those offshore winds. Again, dry, warming winds, slightly elevated fire danger heading into tomorrow morning with those gusty winds on the west side of the valley and through parts of the foothills. It doesn't last particularly long, and keep in mind we had that cool weather and the showery weather over the course of the weekend. So we're not really seeing super high fire danger, just a moderate range in the areas shaded in brown and for a short period of time. Just another day to kind of keep your eye on things around fire danger. High pressure ridge sinking warming air gets us back into the 90s by the time we wrap up the work week and head into the beginning of the weekend. Then big changes after that. Highs in the 60s tomorrow for this year, 80s and 90s as we head down the hill, and 80s and 90s across the coast. 85 for San Francisco tomorrow. 80s and 90s throughout the Central Valley after morning lows in the 50s to near 60. Now for the mountains, we'll see those highs warming into the 70s, near 90 for the foothills and for the coast. Our 10-day forecast, we've got a brief bump in temperatures, then back to the cooler weather and a chance of showers next Tuesday.
Next, on To the Point, student loan payments resume, forcing borrowers to make some really tough decisions. The help available. And new information in a crash involving a robo-taxi and a woman rushed to a trauma center. Have you seen this? A woman is severely hurt after being hit by a car and then run over by a driverless robo-taxi. This happened in San Francisco. The fire department had to free the woman from the driverless car using the jaws of life, and she was rushed to a trauma center. The robo-taxi is owned by the company Cruise, who says the hit and run launched the woman in front of one of its cars. State and federal regulators are now investigating this crash, and it raises even more questions about the safety of these cars in the city. And in your price points, don't expect interest rates to come down anytime soon. Several officials speaking over the last few days have indicated that at the very least, interest rates will need to stay where they are in order to further cut down on inflation. Ford and GM have laid off about 500 more workers. They are considered casualties of the ongoing UAW strike. The layoffs are all at plants that supply parts to factories impacted by the strike. And this week, student loan borrowers who have not paid anything the last few years need to reimagine their budgets. Payments resume this week, and as our Michelle Budin explains, no one knows what the impact will be, but there is help available.
Julia Napier has been breathing a little easier for the last 3 years.
It freed up a lot, money for me.
The 2013 USC graduate had a break. She and millions of others with federal student loans didn't have to pay down their loans, but starting this week, those monthly payments are once again due.
It's pretty heavy. It's a big burden mentally and oftentimes emotionally. It's just kind of always there lingering in the back of my mind. Now that it's going to start back up again, it's going to be a tight crunch. So I'm not looking forward to it.
Will Koster is a certified financial planner and student loan expert and says many borrowers are going to have to take a new look at their budgets, especially considering the impact of inflation.
They will have to kind of recalculate their budgets, retool where they're putting their money on a monthly basis to make sure they can fit that into their cash flow.
And he says insiders worry what that will mean for the economy.
Yeah, I don't think that the impact is really known yet because obviously the consumer is a big part of the economy and their spending is what's driving, economy and the growth. And with the student loan payments coming back in, a couple $100s a month means not eating out as much, maybe defaulting on car loans that they've taken out in the last couple of years. So it'll be really interesting to see the impact.
He says borrowers need to be their own advocates, make sure the companies holding their loans are asking for the right amount with the correct interest rate, and borrowers should consider refinancing or available forgiveness programs. Julia Napier already has a plan, though she doesn't love it.
I'm definitely going to have to buckle down and I won't be able to put as much towards savings.
ABC 10 is celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and music and dance is definitely a part of Latin and Hispanic cultures. So tonight we take you to Del Campo Dance Studio in Sacramento, where people are coming together to connect.
think if I didn't have this, I would probably lose my sanity.
It's an escape. It's a way to let everything loose and just enjoy the moment.
I like to think that you share a beautiful moment with somebody. The song tells you what to do, and then it's over.
All the Caribbean dances and most of the Latin American dances have roots in Africa. And unfortunately, through the slave trade, Africans ended up in, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Brazil, Colombia.
And what happened was Cuba was one of the countries that were able to keep their culture. They were able to keep their culture from Africa. That's why so many dances came from Cuba. Different cultures started learning it. It's a little bit of ingredients from here, a little bit of ingredients from that country, and then it just became salsa and it became commercialized. But originally, if you talk to the old school dancers and musicians, it's mambo.
I started out with salsa first, so that's my first love. But all the dances, the music is so enticing that you end up falling in love with all of it. Salsa typically, mambo has a forward and back basic, and whereas the bachata tends to have more of a sideways basic.
Right now, bachata is super popular. That's very, very popular with the kids. So that came from the Dominican Republic.
Miami, New York, LA, San Diego, South America, it's danced a little bit differently wherever you go.
Again, Europe, Asia. I just went to Asia with a friend of mine. Don't even speak the language out there, but if you know how to dance, you make a connection with people. And that's really the main reason I think that I do this.
It's a ritual of connection. If you know how to dance, your partner knows how to dance, you could have never met the person before and connect with them.
You can get off the dance floor and have this amazing dance and amazing connection. And then, they could be, maybe I don't even like that person as a person, but just the fact that you're just connecting on the dance floor, it's amazing, yeah.
Being open to the moment, being open to a relationship for 4 minutes is a big key. Is trust me to take you on a journey, and we're gonna go on this journey through the song.
It's an interesting thing when you go to a Latin nightclub. The whole premise is not to pick up people. It's about dancing. And so you'll see even couples, married couples, they'll go and they'll dance with each other throughout the night, but they also switch partners throughout the night. And partner dancing is a way to just connect with so many more people. I've got more friends now than I ever have before. The salsa scene, the Latin dance scene in Sacramento is as strong as it has ever been, and I've been in the business for over 30 years. You can go out dancing 5 nights a week here in Sacramento. You don't have to know anything. If you can walk into the studio, you can start.
I think a lot of people, if you would interview them, they would say the same thing. Our lives have gotten better because of dancing, because of our community, because of our team.
Everyone belongs, and I love that.
The music is infectious, the dance is infectious, people's energy is infectious, so it's like going home to your family and seeing your kids. You just forget about everything.
And plans are underway for a 3-day salsa and bachata festival in Sacramento. The details are on abc10.com/links. And coming up tomorrow, we explore the art of papel mache. These dolls became popular during the Mexican Revolution and come in all shapes, colors, and sizes. Next, on To The Point, the return of Jimmy Kimmel Live. And here's what's coming up tonight on our streaming app, ABC 10+. Be warned now, you might hear a lot of cell phones buzzing and ringing tomorrow around 11:30. The federal government is pushing emergency alerts to phones across the country in an effort to test the nationwide emergency alert system. Federal law requires the systems be tested at least once every 3 years, so alerts on radios and televisions will also be tested. And before we go tonight, there is a lot more funny coming to your screens. All 4 major late night talk shows are now back on the air after a 5-month strike-induced hiatus. So this was the scene outside of Jimmy Kimmel in Los Angeles as audiences lined up to watch the show's taping. The end of the historic writer strike last week means that people have been able to get back to work and shows are getting back on the air.
I'm happy that people are working now, you know, stressful. I was thinking about all the guys on the line, everyone. It's affecting everyone and their homes and getting paid. So I'm happy that everyone's back, you know.
And you can watch all new episodes of Jimmy Kimmel right here on ABC 10 at 11:35, right after Late News Tonight at 11. The first new episode last night, he joked that they've been gone so long that The Bachelor is now a grandfather, in reference to the new show on ABC, The Golden Bachelor, in case you missed it. All right, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. We're always working to bring you more context and information on issues impacting us here in Northern California. So if there's something that you care about or just want more information on, make sure you reach out to me and the team. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.